The soft light of early morning crept through the worn curtains of a small, weathered apartment in the quiet town of Cedarwood. Outside, the world slowly awoke, but inside, time seemed to stand still in the gentle silence. At the kitchen table sat an elderly woman alone, holding a warm cup of chamomile tea like a fragile treasure in her hands. Luna Carlyle's silver hair caught the pale light, framing her face, marked by years full of laughter, loss, and quiet endurance. Her eyes, a calm gray, fixed on the crossword puzzle before her, 7 letters for a musical term meaning loud and full. Fortissimo. The word felt like a whisper from the past, a faint echo of a dream she believed long buried. At 74 years old, Luna had quietly and unobtrusively walked through the seasons of life, simply living in a town where everyone knew everyone, and stories often remained untold. She had been a widow for nearly 30 years and inhabited this modest apartment with faded floral wallpaper and creaking wooden floors, a place heavy with memories but light with fragile hope for what might still come. Her days followed a gentle rhythm: morning tea, afternoons with well-worn books, a weekly book club at the library, and evenings in the church choir. But unlike most choir members, Luna never sought the spotlight. She sang in the back rows, blending her voice with the choir, never daring to stand out. A sudden ringing broke the morning silence and pulled Luna back to the present. She hesitated, fingers trembling slightly, as she reached for the phone. "Hello." Her voice was soft, shaped by decades of quiet. "Luna, this is Marlene from the choir," came the familiar, lively voice. "Have you heard about the talent show next week at the Cultural Center? There are open auditions." Luna smiled wistfully. "You know, those shows aren't for someone like me." "Oh, come on," Marlene replied firmly, warmth filling her voice. "I heard you sing when you thought no one was listening. Your voice can still move mountains. Even Pastor Henderson says so." Luna glanced at the small wooden music box on the windowsill, its paint chipped and dulled by time. It was her last memento of a youth full of dreams, dreams of stages and songs that once set her heart on fire. How long had it been since she dared to dream? As the morning light streamed through the window and dust particles danced in the still air, Luna gently ran her fingers over the music box. Somewhere deep inside, a long-forgotten spark awoke, a melody waiting to be sung again. Luna Carlyle was a woman whose life was marked by quiet moments, by memories deeply rooted in her heart and dreams she had once pursued with a passion now only a whisper. Born and raised in Cedarwood, a town where everyone knew everyone, Luna had discovered music early in life. Her voice was gentle and clear, a gift she wanted to share with the world. As a young woman, she had studied music at university, her eyes full of hope and her heart full of fire. But life had other plans. During an important exam, she met Professor Bennett, a man whose harsh words cut like cold steel into her soul. "Technically, you are solid," he said, "but you lack the fire, the soul." These words struck Luna deeply and shook her dreams. With a heavy heart, she left music behind and chose a humbler path. She became a teacher, devoted herself to education, and raised her son Jonah alone after her beloved Harold died in a tragic accident when Luna was only 40. Harold had been more than just her husband. He was her safe harbor, her faithful listener, her greatest supporter. Together, they had dreamed of a life full of music and love, of evenings when Luna danced singing through the living room and Harold held her laughing. But that dream was abruptly shattered, and Luna was left with the feeling that a part of her was lost forever. Years passed, and Luna adapted to a world that turned on without the music inside her. She found solace in simple things: the pages of a book, the voices of other choir members in the small church, the quiet hum of her life. But deep inside, behind the wrinkles and silence, a longing never fully died. Her son Jonah became the center of her world. A kind, intelligent man who was always proud of the woman who showed strength despite all adversity. He worked as a doctor in a nearby town and often called her to cheer her up when she felt lost. Luna was aware that she often put herself aside, her desires, her dreams, her music, all in favor of a quiet care she chose for Jonah and her life. Yet sometimes, in the quietest moments of the day, when the wind gently brushed past the windows and light danced the shadows in her room, she wondered if there was still a way back. If the fire inside her could ignite once again. And on that morning, when the phone rang and Marlene's voice told her about the talent show, Luna felt a small tremor in her heart, the first stirrings of a hope she had almost forgotten. Only a few days after the surprising call from Marlene, Luna sat again at her kitchen table, hands wrapped around a cup of hot tea. Her friend's words echoed in her head, a talent show, a chance Luna had never expected, and really hadn't sought. But then, at that very moment, the phone rang again. This time it was an unknown number flashing on the display. Hesitantly, Luna answered. "Good day, am I speaking with Mrs. Carlyle?" A warm, professional male voice spoke. "My name is David Monroe, and I am a producer at Cedarwood's Talent Spotlight." Luna felt her heart skip a beat. Talent Spotlight, the TV show she never thought she would ever be reached by. "We saw a video of you, a short clip of you singing at a church service. Was that really your voice?" Luna cleared her throat, surprised and yet uncertain. "Yes, that was me. But I didn't know anyone recorded it and sent it." "Well, whoever it was did a great job. Your voice moved us deeply. We would like to invite you to participate in the next show. It would be a unique opportunity, and of course, we will cover all travel and accommodation costs." She felt a flood of emotions rushing through her, disbelief, joy, but also fear. What if it was just a brief appearance? A moment to move the audience, and then a polite farewell? "Mrs. Carlyle, this is truly your chance to tell your story," David continued. "Just one song. An opportunity that might never come again." Luna was silent for a moment. Deep inside, she knew this invitation meant more than just an audition. It was a call, a challenge, a piece of the past calling out once more. But then the doubts came. What would her son say? What would the town say? Was she really ready to show herself to the world again, not as the reserved woman in the church choir, but as Luna, the singer with a story? She carefully hung up the receiver. For hours she sat quietly, the pages of her inner diary opened, memories rising, failures, hopes, lost dreams. Despite all doubts, Luna felt a quiet but definite voice whispering inside her, "Maybe it's time. Time to break the silence." Shortly after, she picked up the phone, dialed her son's number, and began a conversation that would change not only her life but her heart. After the call with her son ended, Luna sat silently for a long time. The silence in her small living room seemed louder than ever, filled with a mixture of fear, hope, and old memories that suddenly appeared like ghosts from the past. She thought of Harold, her husband, who had loved her unconditionally. How often had he encouraged her when doubts gnawed at her? How often had he urged her to raise her voice even when the world told her to be silent? But since his death, that voice inside her had grown quieter, almost silenced. Professor Bennett's words echoed in her mind, "You have no fire. You don't have what touches people's hearts." Back then, so many years ago, that criticism hit her like a slap in the face. She had given up music, not because she had no voice, but because she believed her voice was not enough. Now, with trembling hands, Luna opened the small wooden box on the windowsill. Inside lay a faded photo of her and Harold, shining with happiness, captured in a time when everything seemed possible. She sighed softly and closed her eyes. Was she really brave enough to try again? Was the voice that had once been so powerful still there? She remembered many evenings in the church choir, when she secretly sang along when no one was watching. Those little moments when she felt free, as if the world belonged only to her for a moment. But the audience was never really there, only empty church pews and the expectation to hold back. Luna knew it was more than fear holding her back. It was the dread of failure, the judgment of others, the loss of dignity. Yet even stronger was the longing burning inside her, the desire to be heard, to truly live and not just exist. She reached for the notebook where she had written the lyrics to "At Last," a song Harold loved. Every word was a memory of love, loss, and hope. She read the lines quietly to herself, feeling a warmth spread in her chest. "Luna," she whispered to herself, "it's your time. Not for fame or applause, but for you, for your voice, for what you thought you lost." Tears slowly rolled down her cheeks, not from pain, but from a deep liberation. In that moment, she realized the real battle would not take place on stage, but in her heart. And no matter what the future held, she would accept this challenge. Not as an old woman who once sang, but as Luna Carlyle, as someone who had found herself again. The days passed faster than Luna expected. With trembling hands, she packed her small suitcase, carefully folding her favorite clothes, including her pale blue dress with the faded floral pattern she once wore on special occasions. It was the dress that reminded her of past times, moments full of hope and love. Next to the suitcase lay a worn notebook in which she had carefully written down the lyrics to "At Last." Every word was like a small bridge to a long-gone world, yet this time it felt different, more alive, more tangible. The day of her departure arrived, bringing with it a mix of excitement and fear that Luna deeply felt inside. At the small regional airport in Cedarwood, she stood with a pounding heart, surrounded by people whose lives seemed to flow in a different direction. It was her first journey in decades, and the thought of diving into an unknown, noisy world made her both tremble and hope. The flight over the gentle hills and deep forests of the Northwest felt like a transition, not only geographically but also inwardly. Clouds drifted past, and Luna looked out the window at a world bigger and faster than she remembered. At the destination, Maya, a young assistant with a friendly smile and a busy look at her smartphone, awaited her. "Welcome, Mrs. Carlyle," she said, handing Luna a folder with important information for the coming days. The studio setting was overwhelming. Bright lights, reflective glass walls, the hum of voices from young people eagerly talking and preparing for their big performances. Luna felt like a small fish in a vast ocean, lost and yet fascinated. In the makeup room, she met Tessa, an experienced makeup artist who appraised Luna with a practiced eye. "I'll make sure you shine on camera," she promised while gently styling Luna's silver hair into soft waves and highlighting her eyes with delicate bronze tones. Looking in the mirror, Luna barely recognized herself. The reflection showed an older woman, yes, but also dignified and ready to show herself to the world. A small spark of determination flashed in her eyes. Later, in the quiet waiting area, a young woman with bright blue hair sat beside her. "My name is Skylar," she introduced herself. "I saw your video. You're the church lady, right?" Luna nodded shyly. Skylar smiled mischievously. "They always bring someone older for sentimentality, the so-called sympathy candidates. But if your voice is even close to what's in the video, they miscalculated this time." That brief conversation gave Luna unexpected courage. Maybe she was here not just as a memory of past times, but to really show something for herself. That night, as the city lights sparkled and the sky darkened, Luna lay awake thinking about the road ahead. She knew the biggest battle was yet to come, but also that she had never been stronger than in this moment of hope. Backstage, there was a busy hustle. People with headsets and clipboards bustled about, their voices mixing into a many-voiced hum. Young artists practiced final scales, dancers rehearsed synchronized steps, and stylists rubbed their hands in concentration, ready to add the finishing touches. Luna stood apart, her small suitcase beside her, clutching the notebook with the lyrics tightly. She watched the others, so young, so confident, with sparkling eyes and loud laughter, dreaming of the stage and seemingly unafraid of the spotlight. A group of youths nervously exchanged stories about the casting while a young man tuned his guitar, quietly humming to himself. Luna felt her own tension grow, a mix of admiration and self-doubt curling in her stomach. Skylar, the young woman with bright blue hair, came over and laid an encouraging hand on her shoulder. "Nervous?" she asked with a knowing smile. Luna nodded. "I wonder if I even belong here. If my voice still means anything." "Forget that," Skylar replied. "This isn't just about perfection. It's about who you are. And you have something many don't, a story that needs to be heard." Despite the words, Luna felt the shadow of uncertainty. She recalled Professor Bennett's words and years of silence. What if she failed? What if the audience laughed or simply turned away? An assistant called out the name, Mrs. Carlyle, with a piercing voice. The moment had come. Luna took a deep breath, closed her eyes for a moment, and let the sound of "At Last" echo in her mind. The melody embraced her, filling her with warmth and strength. She stood and walked slowly toward the stage, feeling each step consciously. The voices and noises behind her faded, and her heart beat loud and clear in her chest. Producer David Monroe waited before the stage. His smile this time seemed warmer, but his eyes revealed the routine of a man who often saw such moments. "Ready?" he asked. "As ready as I can be," Luna replied, feeling an unexpected calm spread within her. The host announced, "Next on our stage, a grandmother from Cedarwood, Washington. Please welcome Luna Carlyle." The light blinded Luna, and the faces of the audience were barely visible. Polite applause filled the hall, but it was cool, restrained, a silence full of questions rather than hope. The three judges sat before her, their gazes alert and critical. Luna knew it wasn't just about singing. It was about overcoming herself. Inside, she felt the old fire beginning to flicker softly, a small flame waiting to be ignited. The orchestra began softly with the first gentle chords of At Last. Luna stood on the stage. The bright light blinded her, but she did not let herself be distracted. Deep inside, she felt the familiar warmth she hadn't felt in years. She closed her eyes, recalling Harold, and all the moments his love had carried her voice. With a trembling voice, she began to sing. The first line was soft, almost a whisper. But with each word, her voice grew stronger, clearer, filled with an emotion she had long held back. She told her story, of pain, loss, but also hope and new beginnings. Tension spread in the audience. Some viewers exchanged astonished glances while others absorbed the performance with closed eyes. An elderly lady next to her held her hands folded, her lips moving in silent prayer. A little girl watched Luna with wide, shining eyes. In a back row, an older gentleman squeezed his wife's hand tighter, tears glistened in his eyes. The judges sat motionless, but their faces revealed more than words could say. The Broadway judge discreetly wiped a tear from her cheek, the former pop star clapped non-stop with open mouth, and the legendary music producer nodded appreciatively. Backstage, Skylar watched the scene with bright eyes, whispering in awe, "She's not just singing, she's living every note." Luna slowly spread her arms as if to send invisible embraces, perhaps to Harold, perhaps to her younger self who once doubted. Her voice filled the room, honest and raw, with a power that cannot be learned. When the last notes faded, a moment of reverent silence followed. Then a woman stood and began applauding. Soon many rose, the applause growing louder and more intense until the whole hall roared. Luna stood calmly, the light shining on her face. She neither smiled nor cried, she was simply fully herself. The host stepped beside her and spoke with a trembling voice, "Mrs. Carlyle, I believe I speak for all of us when I say, you showed us tonight what true music means, music that touches the heart directly." As Luna left the stage, she knew she had gained more than applause. She had broken the silence, her own and that of the people who heard her story. The next morning, Luna woke in her hotel room, the window wide open and the cool morning air flowing in. The sun reflected on the glass skyscrapers of the city, but Luna's thoughts circled the night behind her. She sat on the bed, a cup of tea in her hand, and replayed the events. Her heart still beat fast, filled with a feeling she had not known for a long time, pride, relief, and deep inner peace. Her phone vibrated incessantly. It was her son Jonah sending congratulations and sharing the latest news. "Mom, your performance is viral. Millions have seen your video. You're everywhere, social media exploded. People call you the voice of grace. A major magazine even published an article about you." Luna smiled quietly, but the attention and fame meant less to her than the many messages she received from strangers, young and old people who had drawn courage from her voice. "I'm 60 and just signed up for my first singing lesson because of you," wrote one woman. Another said, "I cried when I heard you sing. You reminded me of my mother." These words touched Luna deeply. Suddenly there was a knock at the door. Jonah opened it and entered with a man Luna already knew from yesterday, David Monroe, the show's producer. In his hand, he held a bouquet of tulips and an envelope. "Mrs. Carlyle," he began, a little nervous, "I'm here to thank you and apologize. We expected you to be a touching moment, a ratings boost. But you left us speechless with your honesty and talent. Last night's broadcast had the highest viewership of the season. 3 major record labels have already contacted us and want to meet you. Not just because of your voice, but because of your story, something that can't be scripted." Luna took the envelope but did not open it immediately. Instead, she looked at David and said with a small smile, "Sometimes it is a gift to be underestimated. It gives you the element of surprise." David nodded understandingly. "That's something we all learned today." Later that day, Luna received a message from an unknown number. She opened it and read the words several times. "This is Professor Bennett. I am 94 and live in Florida. I saw your performance last night and must admit, I was wrong. You are a true artist. I am sorry." Luna closed her eyes, set the phone aside, and felt a locked-away part of her heart open, not with bitterness, but with forgiveness. On the flight home, she looked out the window at the endless expanse of sky and quietly hummed the melody of "At Last." For the first time in decades, she was not afraid of the spotlight. She was ready to move forward, as Luna Carlyle, woman, mother, singer. Back in her small apartment in Cedarwood, Luna sat by the window and gazed out at the quiet street bathed in the warm gold of the day's last rays. In her hands she held the old notebook with the lyrics she had studied so often in recent weeks. But this time everything felt different. It was no longer just a book of words, it was a testament to her journey, her rediscovery, and her strength. Luna thought back on the past months, the doubts, the fears, the endless questions she had asked herself. Did she still have the strength? Did her voice still matter? Would the world even want to hear her? And yet she had found the courage to step on stage, to show herself, without mask, without pretense. She remembered the moment when the first notes of "At Last" played and felt the fire inside her come alive that she had kept hidden for so long. The audience's reaction, the judges' recognition, the waves of support from people around the world, it was more than just success. It was a confirmation that it is never too late to live your dreams. Luna now knew that age was just a number, a measure that says nothing about the strength of the heart. Her story was proof that every one of us, no matter the stage of life, has the ability to begin anew, to find our own voice, and to share it with the world. "It's not about perfection," she whispered softly, "but about being honest, truthful, telling your story, no matter how many times you've fallen or thought you weren't good enough." She thought of all the people inspired by her performance, those who had postponed their dreams, those who felt lost in fear of judgment. Luna wanted to tell them, don't stop believing in yourselves. Don't let fear paralyze you. You are never too old, too tired, or too invisible to sing your own melody. With a gentle smile, she set the notebook aside and stood up. Ahead of her lay a new path, uncertain but full of possibilities. She was ready to walk it, as a woman who had learned to love and accept herself, as a singer who knew every voice deserves to be heard. The stage had not changed her, it had revealed her. And that was the true victory. Sometimes it only takes one moment to rewrite an entire life story. Luna Carlyle showed us that it is never too late to raise your voice and live the dream that lies deep within us all. If her journey touched you, share this story and remember, your time is now.